Hello everyone, I'm here to show you how to create a slow time effect similar to Max Payne. So you can stop and start the slow time effect. So it's not like you press it and that's the end of it. You start it from any point, go like right here. And if it hits 0, it'll stop and regenerate. So here I'm using delay and accounting and tracking the delay to see if it's equal to 0. And I'm using multiple looping timers. Excuse me. So I'm checking to see if slow time float delay is greater than or equal to 3. And if it's greater than or equal to 3, it'll be set to 3. Also, I need to mention that this slow motion function, when pressed, it'll do this. So I'm using only one button and assigning multiple functions to that button. So this slow time bool allows me to designate only one press. So if it's false, then I set it to true so that it can't just keep pressing the button back and forth like really madly. This is if it's, and this will only activate if it's greater than or equal to 3. Equal to 1, I mean. If it's equal to 1, slow time bool is equal to true. And else if slow time bool is equal to true, you set it back to false. So this is if you press it for a second time. If you press it for a second time, it'll activate this function called Increment Timer. And what it'll do, this will increment the timer until it is greater than or equal to 3. See, and how this works is that it'll loop, keep calling this incrementation until it's greater than or equal to 3. And if it's greater than or equal to 3, it'll play this. It's checking to see if slow time float delay is greater than or equal to 3, and if it's greater than or equal to 3, it'll set it back to 3, and it'll clear the timer, so that then you can use another timer. And what this is doing is that this is calling this function called stop slow motion after 3 seconds. I'm multiplying this by the sorry, 1 second. And that new time dilation is equal to 0.1. What this does, it basically slows down everything around you, including the player. So I'll just compile real quick just in case. So basically in 3 seconds, this function will be called. And once those 3 seconds happen, it'll keep looping or keep calling the stop motion function. Once you press shift, you'll keep calling this stop slow motion function until it is less than or equal to 0. And once less than or equal to 0 and slow time full is equal to true, then it'll check to see if it's the slow time float delay is less than or equal to 0, and they'll set it to 0.5. The reason why I set it to 0.5 is because you can't use 0 and multiply it by this to get a positive number to where this timer will loop back up. Upwards. If it's 0, that means that this timer will never start again. And it sets the slow time bool back to false, preparing in case you want to set it again to true. If you want to start the function again. And once this slow time bool this stop slow motion function is called, set global time dilation will be equal to 1 again. And it's equal to 1 again. You clear the timer, you clear the other timer, and then you call it again and you increment the timer. So it'll regenerate the slow time float delay. And if it's greater than or equal to 3, checking again to see if it's greater than or equal to 3, you set it to 3. The reason why I always call multiple if statements is so that just in case this doesn't run, this will run, setting it to 3, and calling it again, and if that doesn't run, then it will run. Trying to keep making sure to keep checking to see if slow time float delay is greater than or equal to 3, so that then, sooner or later, one of these calls is going to be true. So that then, it'll be set to 3. And the reason why it's a looping timer, why it's looping, is because you don't want to call this once. If you call it once, it'll only increment this, do once. It'll only increment it until 3, and then that's it. If you try to decrement, even then if you decrement it, it won't regenerate. Oh, actually, no. If this is false, this will only be called once. You want it to keep calling until it's greater than or equal to 3. If it's greater than or equal to 3, then this will be called. You want it to keep looping because it'll keep incrementing. This incrementation will happen regardless of whether this is inside of an if statement. So that's basically it. This code here. You need 3 functions. Let me show you the code more in depth. So you're going to need a player income component. You're going to have to bind the action to a slow motion key in settings. Go to settings and then you edit the settings. Then you call this slow motion. This has to be the exact same name. You cannot have it any other way. And then you create 3 functions. One for the key itself, one for this timer, and another for this timer, and another for this one. And this else if statement is in case you decide, hey, okay, so I have 2 seconds left on the clock. I would just want to stop it right now. Because in Max Payne, you could usually just stop the time, the time delay, and regenerate it. You could stop it maybe at 1.5 seconds. You don't have to stop at 0 all the time. So then, that's why this else if statement exists. It's giving you the ability to control whether or not the slow time activates or deactivates. And if it deactivates, it'll be the exact same thing as if the timer were set to 0. This basically is if the timer is, less than or equal to 0. And if this Boolean is equal to true. And the reason why I'm checking to see if this Boolean is equal to true is that if it goes through this entire timer and actually calls this function this way, so then you can kind of designate what you're doing exactly, because it's kind of important in C++ to designate exactly how things happen, to know how it happens, because C++ is usually like doing all this during runtime, it can get kind of complicated, so knowing exactly when something happens or why it happens is important, so that then you can fix it later. Because if I didn't know that this wasn't being called at all, if this function wasn't being called at all, I would think that maybe perhaps this was causing the issue. But in actuality, it's this causing the issue. I hope I kind of explained that. And also, this debug message, this gengine debug message, is if I click it, but it doesn't really do this during runtime. Like as the timer ticks downward, it doesn't calculate the slow time float delay's current value. So that's why in one moment I'll be back to the engine right now. So going over here. And so basically, that's why I'm using a UI, a user interface HUD. As you notice how it was 3.5, it's incrementing by 0.5 from the very bottom, because you don't want it to hit 0 completely. You don't want the slow time float delay to hit 0 completely, because if it does, you won't be able to re-increment it again. It's weird how it works, but do not let the slow time float delay hit 0. Also, to kind of more elaborate, this is a progress bar, and this is a 0. I don't know how they did it exactly in Max Payne, but I'd imagine that they didn't let the float hit 0. And now this is for the progress bar, slow-mo bar, and this is for the text. It makes it seem as if it hit 0. Let's put it that way. The progress bar makes it look like as if it hit 0, but it never really hit 0. Because if it hits 0, it cannot re-increment itself. In this case. And now, that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have a great day. Have a wonderful and great day. Alright, have a good one. Bye. Stay safe.